Welcome to the Interstate Mets Report with your hosts, Nelson and Chris.
What up, everyone? It's your boy Chris here with another edition of the Interstate Mets Report. This is episode 14. I can't believe we're already on episode 14 here with my man Nelson. Obviously, we're going live. He's in the car. You out and about enjoying the day with family, Nelson?
Yeah, things got a little crazy and ended up there was a huge fire in the middle of my route to where I was going, so I got stuck in traffic and just not going well.
Life happens sometimes. I completely understand that. So we're not going to be on here for too long. Obviously, it's the dog days of the Mets season. Struggling to find some topics, I should say, but we're here nonetheless. Obviously, if you're here, make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channels at Amish Country Mets fan for Nelson. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button for him at CPNY Sports for me. Bottom right hand corner of this video while you're watching live should be there. But if it's not, just click on the link to my channel. Go subscribe. I'll finally plug in our X and Instagram here at CPNY Sports is for me all across the board. And then Nelson is on X as well at Amish Country Met. Nelson also does have Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Big TikTok guy at Amish Country Mets fan as well. So make sure you go ahead and follow him on those platforms as well. So, yeah, today we're going to be talking about a couple topics, and obviously, like I just said, we struggle to find some topics now. Now that we're in the late part of August, the trade deadline has pretty much passed us through. So we'll be talking about a couple topics as relevant as it can be to the Mets right now in terms of how they've been playing lately. Talk about a little bit about David Wright and follow up with the Buck Showalter talk because everybody's speculating and giving their own opinions on Twitter, etc., about Buck Showalter for next season. So let's just talk about it a little bit here. The Mets have been playing, I guess you can say, quote unquote, better recently, and maybe not so much of the team, but just individual guys that we've been seeing that have been picking up their performances. McNeil, Nimmo, Alonso, Lindor still doing well. DJ Stewart's been coming on as of recent as well. Obviously, we're not making too much of it. These guys didn't perform when it mattered the most. We've already been over that. We already get that. But the Mets are 6-5 in their last 11, if I have that right. And have you been seeing anything from anybody in particular that you want to point out not that it really matters, but anything that you want to highlight in terms of, the Mets' better play as of late?
I mean, obviously Alonso's been killing it. Nimmo stepped up a bit. Like you said, Stewart's hit 4 homers in the last however many games. McNeil's even stepped up. So the offense is some guys are starting to click. Even that, however you say his name, Arauz or whatever, he hit a couple homers recently. So the offense is starting to click. We got Quintana looks good, man. I gotta say, if he can do this and ride this into next year, that's big for us because he is signed for next year as well. So I like what I see out of that. The bullpen still sucks. Let's just call it what it is. A couple guys are doing okay, but for the most part, they're trash. So I mean, it is what it. We're playing competition that's as bad, if not worse, than us. It's the Pirates stink. The Cardinals have stunk all year, so it's not like we're beating anybody special. Whenever we play a decent team again, we'll probably get killed all over again.
No, I completely agree with you. It's a great point on Jose Quintana as well. I mean, he's been pitching, ever since he's come back into the rotation from the injury, like even from day one, his first start, he's been solid. He's been absolutely solid. So he was a guy that we were talking about potentially if the Mets were doing a fire sale, maybe they could get some pieces back for him or a piece back for him. But obviously next year, the rotation is going to need some help. They're going to need to add a lot, talent to the rotation, and Quintana already being there along with Kodai Senga is definitely going to make it a lot easier for the front office as opposed to if Jose Quintana showed that he's, struggled a little bit this year, and they ended up holding on to him. So definitely a lot easier. for the front office moving forward in terms of the rotation. We got our man Jung-Hoo Lee in the chat per usual. Jose Quintana is a better version of Chris Bassett. And then he also says, hey, Chris and Nelson, Mets takeover. The city begins today. And he's pointing out some of the struggles that the Yankees are having across town. So, yeah, no, I appreciate you tuning in. All the regular listeners, make sure you drop those comments. I forgot to hit the thumbs up, drop a comment, subscribe to our channels banner over here. So you know the deal. If you've been listening for a while, and we definitely have our regular listeners, make sure you're doing that for us. Definitely appreciate that. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's not like we're facing, surefire competition, but a guy like DJ Stewart doing what he's doing right now, we talking about a bench bat for next year. DJ Stewart is definitely showcasing himself as a potential candidate for that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a surefire thing. DJ Stewart's also still hitting 220 on the season, so it's not like he's like lights out and has been lights out ever since he's been brought up. I'm just saying I got to give credit where credit's due. Obviously, he had the multi-home run game the other day, and he seems like he's putting competent at-bats together, and he's playing somewhat of competent defense out there in the outfield as well, which is nice to see. It's nice to see any sort of competency out of the Mets at this point in juncture of the season, so I'll take it where I can. But yeah, like you said, the other guys too as well. Alonso's killing it. He hit his 37th yesterday against the Cardinals. We even got a home run from Timmy LoCastro. I mean, I can't believe he went dead central on the Cardinals for his first home run of the year. That was nice to see in the 4-2 victory yesterday. And then yesterday as well, Nimmo, McNeil, and Lindor all hitting doubles as well. So it's nice to see at least the lineups coming around. Like I said, everyone's going to probably be like, well, it's a little too late for that. And I completely get that. But like we said, as it pertains to trades in the offseason / next season, if someone like McNeil gets his trade value up, who knows? Maybe we're singing a different tune in the offseason, and maybe this is a blessing in disguise because I'm sure Nelson hasn't changed his position on the whole trade McNeil notion. So, yeah, so that's what I make out of it. And I guess as it pertains to the second sort of topic here on the screen, could this have been a playoff team even if we didn't sell off those guys? Like, do you think that seeing what we see now, and I'm not really sure this has anything to do with it, but do you think eventually this team that's still currently 7 games back with a wild card in a pretty similar position to where we're at post trade deadline, do you think this team would have gotten to the playoffs still having those guys, Canna, Pham, Verlander, Scherzer, all those guys? Would they have turned it around, or you still think that it would have been more of the same from the Mets?
Nah, I don't think they would have been. We'd probably be in the same exact spot, to be honest. I just, for whatever reason, they weren't meshing as a unit. I don't think that would have changed. Yeah, Max and Verlander look like they're pitching decent, but that doesn't mean they would have pitched good here just because it's the Mets and it's the way things are for us. But yeah, I don't think we would have been in any better spot, and I don't think this is a sign that we're going on some run with these bunch of scrubs either. Like I said, we're playing bad teams right now, so naturally we're gonna win a couple games, but we still got I don't even know how many teams to jump over. Seems like nobody wants the wild card in the National League. All these teams kind of stink, but no, we're not winning anything. I'd be shocked if we did somehow make the playoffs. It would be hilarious, but I don't think that's gonna happen. And I don't think it would have happened even if we kept all our guys. We did the right thing. We built for the future. And yeah, to your point on McNeil, I definitely would still trade him just because if he builds that value up, you have so many guys that can fill in right now in those spots. We got to get rid of somebody. So he would make sense given that his contract is somewhat short and it's not for a lot of money. And he does provide some value. Um, I would think there's a team that would bite. But if not, I mean, like I said, I don't want to sell low on him. So as much as I don't really like him, you got to, if you're not getting anything for him, then you've got to keep him.
And I completely agree with that notion as well. You got to keep him. You can't sell low on him. And Marte is another guy as well that I definitely like. I don't know if we'll see Marte by the end of the season. It's looking more and more like we won't. But another guy that if he comes back and gets hot at the right time at the end of the season, it could be a blessing in disguise for the Mets in terms of they want to work deals for those guys, get them out, and then get some of the younger guys in the farm system up and bring more youth towards this team like we've been preaching. So and like you said as well, Scherzer, he's pitching really well in Texas right now. And I can't say that I'm shocked because, like you said, it's just a Mets trend where, someone comes over here, stinks it up, gets traded or gets DFA'd, goes, finds a new team, and all of a sudden they're playing lights out. And we're just sitting here wondering why the Mets have this sort of curse on these players' performances like we do. So it's not a shock, but it's by no means an indication that things would have turned around with them here still in New York in Queens. So I definitely agree with that. Before we get on to the next topic, though, I want to make sure I forgot to do this in the intro here. We're kind of doing a little episode on the fly here. So follow us on X at Interstate Mets is our handle. Make sure you go ahead and follow us over there. Get updates on the show and everything that we're doing with our personal accounts as well. But we got a couple more comments in here as well. We got Stevie Mac in the house. What up, regular listener? Appreciate you, Stevie Mac, always tuning in, saying what's up. We got Tom in the chat. What up, Tom? How are you doing? I take Stewart over Vogelback. I agree. Like I said, if this team has been employing Vogelback this whole entire time, a guy like DJ Stewart, if he shows that he can actually provide some competency, in terms of like power, actually being a power hitter, not a fake power hitter like Vogelback is, then maybe you see him take one of those bench spots next year. Is it likely? I still don't think it's likely, but if the Mets focus their attention on pitching, like we all think they will, maybe they, have another offseason that's a little quiet from the offensive, perspective, and they look to fill those last roster spots internally. And DJ Stewart is definitely trying out for 2024 right now. So make no mistake about that. Let's see here. Nemo stay in left field. Nemo can't hit playing center field. I guess that's referring to Nemo being a better hitter when he's out in left as opposed to being in center. I'm not sure how to take that, but I don't care where Nemo.
I think that's what he means because his turnaround has. I think it's a coincidence, but it's coincided with the fact that he's moved to left field.
Yeah.
He's been hitting better, but I don't really think there's a correlation there. I do think Nemo's future on this team is in left. I don't know how soon our outfielders are going to be ready to push him out there, but I'm talking about the guys in the minors, Gilbert and that's Clifford.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think his future's in left. I don't know why he's playing left right now. That still seems. I still haven't heard any reasoning for that. If maybe I missed it. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting development. I do think that he's not going to be in center field for many years to come. Though.
No, I agree. And like you said, Drew Gilbert, I mean, this guy has been raking the baseball and playing phenomenal defense down in Binghamton. I've been, following up with him from like Joe DeMayo, from Mike Mayer, all those guys who cover the minor leaguers. And it seems like Drew Gilbert's having a pretty impressive campaign so far in the limited time that we've seen him in the Mets organization. Obviously, he struggled in the Houston Astros organization this year in Double-A, hitting 240, but I forgot what he's hitting right now currently. But in his first 11 or 12 games, he was hitting like, I don't know, he was hitting like 360 something and had a couple of defensive highlights that we've been seeing too. And he's a guy that provides speed. He hit an absolute tank. I think it was either yesterday or the day before that I saw off his bat. And someone commented underneath of that swing and the home run that he hit that he has shades of Michael Conforto in his swing from the left side. And honestly, I always like Michael Conforto as a hitter. Obviously, he's a pure hitter when he wants to be. When he gets a little pull happy, that's when things go awry, like almost any other major leaguer. But That was a good comp for a swing, and he brings speed, he brings fire, he brings defense first and foremost. So I really think that if he does materialize into anything that resembles major league talent and like what he's supposed to be, and where everyone projected him to be coming out of Tennessee, then he's going to be the starting future center fielder of this team. I 100% believe that. Couple more comments. We got Aaron in the house. What up, Aaron? What up, Aaron? I do Giants pods with Aaron. Make sure you go check his stuff out. At the TMS pod as well. That's my sports on YouTube. Go subscribe to them. He said, of course, we would have been a playoff team. We have the secret weapon, Danny Mendick. So Aaron thinks we would have eventually turned it around with those guys. I don't know if I believe that. I think I'm going with you, Nelson. I don't think I believe that we would have been a playoff team with Verlander, Scherzer, Canna, Pham, Leon, all of those guys. Escobar still here. I don't believe it, but who knows? I mean, things might have turned around because, like you said, these teams that are still ahead of us, and the Mets currently on August 18th, they don't want to take that last wild card spot. It's the Reds, Marlins, I think it is, and I forgot who else. There's two more teams in between there, and they're all jumbled up together. Giants are in there too. So, I mean, it would have been plausible. It's not like it's a stretch to say, but you just can't make those sort of projections. But it's an interesting topic to at least discuss. Let's see here. MLB prospect astoundingly reaches majors weeks after being drafted. Bring up Acuna and Cruz. What do you got to lose? Who's Cruz? I'm not following on who Cruz
He
is.
said later on that he meant Gilbert Acuna.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah, Dylan Cruz is with the Nationals organization. So yeah, Gilbert is who he meant. McNeil, Tom says McNeil isn't needed when Acuna comes up. 100%, Tom. That's something that we've been saying on all of our episodes here so far. McNeil, obviously, he's been a Met for a while, won the batting title. We get that. We understand that. But he is really a one-trick pony. And if he's not doing that one trick, then he's virtually useless out there. He is a utility glove. We understand that as well. But he hasn't really played great defense this year anyways. But you can't sell low on the guy, especially when you gave him that sort of contract. You got to sell high on him. So if he's getting hot at the right time here down the stretch, maybe potentially we see him moved later on. Let's see here. We got Patrice 1. Scherzer is pitching really well against bad teams, though. Let's see how he pitches against the better teams, because that's how he was with us. Always drop the ball against the better teams. 100%. I haven't taken a look at Scherzer in terms of the competition he's faced while in Texas, but like you said, this comment really speaks it all in terms of Scherzer's tenure with the Mets. Literally, any single big game, whether it was a playoff game last year or a game that the Mets really needed to turn their season around this year against the better competition, he folded. So great observation there. Obviously, Jung-Hoo Lee meant Acuna and Gilbert, not Cruz. And then McNeil, low-key, looked good in right field this year. I don't know how much stock I put into McNeil playing an outfield spot long-term for this team, especially when you have now two viable candidates coming up in the outfield shortly. And not to forget, Acuna also can play some outfield as well. So we'll see what happens with McNeil. McNeil's a very interesting topic of discussion. And then, we already got that comment as well. So let's move on to this next topic here real quick. And that is Mr. David Wright. Beloved Met. He was in the booth with the guys up. I forgot what series it was. I think it was this past series, was it? I'm not sure when it was, but obviously he's part of that charity game that I think took place yesterday. The NYPD and FDNY charity game, softball game. So it's always good to see David Wright. Affiliated with the Mets. Obviously, he was a Met his whole career. Norfolk, Virginia native. And I haven't heard from him in a while before I saw him on the TV the other day, and that kind of spurred this kind of topic that Nelson thought it would be a good idea to bring up, and that is the question of, is David Wright underappreciated, not only around the league but definitely within the fan base? And I think it's a very good question, because I think that my answer immediately is yes, he is underappreciated. Especially to the newer generation of Mets fans. And I fall into that category as well, but I did get to see some great years out of David Wright myself, which I consider myself lucky to be able to do so. So for you, Nelson, what's your take on this? Is he underappreciated? And I have his career stats. We're going to switch over to that slide here shortly to give the viewers an idea of how good he really was and the numbers that he put up.
Yeah, I mean, the comments I've heard from some people calling him overrated and this and that, it's like, what? I don't know what they were watching. Like, yeah, sadly he got hurt and his career was derailed early, but this guy had a stretch from 2005, 2006 to about, I think it was through
2013.
2008. Yeah, no,
20,
I'm trying to, but there's a couple years there where he had down years. There was like 3 years though where he was just phenomenal. I think it was like 2005 to 2008
yeah,
ish.
yeah,
And then he had like an injury in '09, I believe. He no, the year City Field opened, he had a really down year because his power was just
that was '09,
drained.
wasn't it?
Because yeah, I think that was '09.
Yeah,
And he only hit like 10 homers, had 70 RBIs. He still hit like 290, but
mhm,
he just they built the Wilpons, being the idiots that they were, built a park that it took away from his game. Like it was like, I don't know what they were thinking. And you've seen over the years that they've continually like pushed the walls in and whatnot. Um, he did bounce back. I think it was 2010, and then he started to get hurt. And but I mean, the guy had a stretch where he was just a phenomenal player. Hit 20, 30 home runs a year, driving in 100 RBIs, hitting 300, like playing good defense. I mean, he wasn't like a gold glover necessarily, but he was a solid defensive player.
very solid.
Um, I just, I don't know. Like, yes, he got hurt, but I don't know how you could say that he was overrated. I think if he doesn't get hurt, he's goes on to have a Hall of Fame career. I truly believe that.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
he just, I mean, he's statistically one of the best Mets that's ever played offensively. Um, I just don't know how you can knock the guy. He's a good guy off the field. I hope his number gets retired soon. I'm kind of surprised we haven't broached that yet.
Hmm.
Don't know exactly what we're waiting on. I know we we're a little more conservative than most with that, with retiring numbers and whatnot. We're not the Yankees who just retire everybody's number. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I expect we'll see that here soon. I hope that I know he's very big on his kids and his daughters and wanting to be there for them. I'm hoping as they get older, maybe he'll be more involved with the organization a bit. Because he's a good guy to have around. He was a leader. He was a captain for a reason. Um, yeah, man, he's one of my all time favorite Mets. So maybe there's a little bias there, but I don't remember seeing David Wright in a Met uniform and ever thinking, man, this guy is a disappointment, or this guy isn't as good as I expected, or anything like that. Like, to me, he was clutch. He was an amazing player. I just wish he could have stayed healthy. That's pretty much it.
No, I 100% agree. We have some numbers here to display for David Wright. Like I said, I mean, I naturally just got into baseball all around 2004, 2005. And that made me, I caught great years. Like you just said, he had those great years in '05, '06, '07, and '08. So about 4 years there where he was absolutely lights out. And just absolutely blessed because the guy's a good guy on and off the field. A true Met, a lifelong Met. And it's a shame that his career, he really only got 13 seasons. That 14th season they have on his stats, baseball references, that 2 games that he played. And then, he came in for the game or whatever. They just did that ceremony because he had 2017 off. He was still battling some injuries. And I think he's just kind of phased out. But 13-year career, solid career. Like Aaron said here, first Met to hit a home run in City Field. And then Aaron also said he wishes he beat Ryan Howard in the home run derby that year when he was in it. Tom says, I think the injuries mean he is always seen as what he could have been as a player. To those outside of the organization, the Mets organization, unfortunately, I think that affects his Hall of Fame chances as well. Yeah, 100% agree. And before I get into that actually, no, you know what? He got hurt. I don't know if it's official, and I don't know if they said it outright because I haven't paid attention to that, but it was the diving play in 2011 where it was against the Houston Astros, and it was Carlos Lee. It was a ball hit to the right side of the diamond. Second baseman, who back then the second baseman in 2011 for the Mets was Justin Turner, ironically enough, does the spin move and tries to get the force out at second base. Jose Reyes obviously can't get it. It was way beyond his reach. David Wright's back in the play up. Carlos Lee decides to go and stretch, another base, take another base. And David Wright unfortunately goes, and I don't want to say unfortunately because that was the right play to make at that point in time. But like, it's like one of those things, like if you knew that was going to happen in the future, like looking back, like, yeah, don't dive, right? But like he was making a baseball play. Unfortunately, that was a stress fracture that happened in his lower back. And obviously he came back, had some good seasons after that, but it really, I don't know if medically that's what they deem to be the cause of his spinal stenosis diagnosis, but the timeline adds up to that being it, right? So it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate because it seems like it cut his career short.
Yeah,
But
and what sucks is like just that one moment. Like if any of those anything happens from Justin Turner not eating the ball or Jose Reyes being able to get a glove on it or any of number of things, that one
unfortunate.
moment could change Mets history. Like, and it's crazy and it sucks. And that's that way for every team. Like, there's always that moment, but it's like, damn, man, like, just yeah, it's you can't say that for sure. That was the moment, but the consensus is like that was the start of the issues, and then obviously he developed spinal stenosis, which was it's a debilitating injury for a ball player. Um, it sucks, man. It just it's sad that that's how it went down, because it's like we get very few career Mets to begin with, and then the ones that we do get, there always seems to be like some sort of something that made it like not quite as good as it should have been. Like so, it just sucks.
Yeah, and it sucks for the Mets organization. It sucks for his career. Tom and you just said, like definitely probably could have went on to have a Hall of Fame career at that trajectory, and probably just hindered his chances. And what's even more of a slap in the face is that was Justin Turner, who sucked for the Mets. That made that play. And like you said, it was a perfect storm. Anything else could have gone a different way, and maybe that didn't happen, but shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Here are David Wright's career numbers. He's a career 296 hitter, which is absolutely phenomenal. That doesn't happen in the major leagues quite often anymore. 242 career home runs. Definitely would have been 300 plus had he kept playing at that caliber. 491 slug, 867 OPS, 133 OPS. He was a 7-time All-Star, 2020 club in 2006, 30-30 club in 2007. And there was a handful of years that he hit like 25, 26, 27 home runs and just missed that 20 stolen base mark in the season. So an almost 2020 guy in like 3 or 4 or 5 seasons. So I was looking at some of his numbers distinctly before we got on here. So I mean, the guy's accolade speaks for itself. Even though his career, the years got shortened a little bit, speaks for itself. All-time Met. My all-time, one of my favorite Mets. I think if you're a true Mets fan, especially in that era, back then 2005 to 2008, you can't. I mean, David Wright has to be up there for you. So I don't understand the whole David Wright is overrated as well. I guess that's how Yankee fans get annoyed when people say that about Jeter as well. It's the David Wright's the overrated talk to
Yeah,
Yankees.
but
Jeter's
the thing
overrated talk.
about that is that's opposing fans saying that about Jeter. There's
Yeah,
Mets
that's true.
fans saying that about David Wright. Mets fans, no offense to any of you guys watching, you're all cool, but Mets fans suck. Like, let's be honest. We like trash our own players. We never appreciate what we have. It's like I don't understand it. It's not everybody, obviously, but there's a very pronounced section of Mets fans who just don't appreciate anything good. And it's just like all they do is complain.
Of the little good that we have too.
Yeah, of the little good that we have, it's like they always find the fault, and it's never like, no, look at the positives. Like, I'm not Mr. Sunshine and Roses and Rainbows, but I choose to look at the positives in like certain guys. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's frustrating.
It's a headache,
It,
is what it is. It's a
yeah, it
headache.
is. It's a headache, and especially on X or what Twitter, whatever the hell you call it.
Mhm.
And a lot of it's trolling too. Like, let's be honest, but sometimes you just like. I wish the trolls would just stop because
Disappear.
it's yeah, it's just annoying.
I agree. I agree. M Easy's in the house. What up, M Easy? He's pointing out that David Wright also had an awkward slide into second base once that I think I remember that play as well. I don't remember who it was against. I think it's on the road.
You're on mute. I think I can't hear you. I can't tell if it's just. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if the audience can hear me or Chris, or if we're having technical difficulties here. Um, Stevie Mac says he hears me, but not Chris. I don't know what's going on. Oh man. I don't know if I should just keep going. I guess I'll. Well, I forget what we were talking about. That threw me off. Um, shit. Oh, the fact that Mets fans are annoying. Uh, and yeah, I mean it's the truth. It's it's frustrating to be a Mets fan sometimes. I think I saw a comment here that said,
Can you hear me now?
"Yes, I can hear you now."
Okay, cool, cool. Hold on one second. All right, we are back. My apologies about the technical difficulties here. I don't know what happened, but let me get to some of these comments here. We have I'm gonna throw Mr. Wright back up there. Yeah, and this is the one comment that I want to get to as well. Stevie Mack said, I was at the game where Wright got beamed in the head by the Giants, heard it all the way from the porch. You know what was funny? I was at that game too. I was up in the nosebleeds as well. I saw that live. It was Matt Cain from the Giants, 95-mile-per-hour fastball to the head. Saw that live as well, Stevie. So
Remember
that
where
was
he
definitely
when he
not.
wore that ridiculous like oversized helmet?
Yeah. That was funny. That was like the league was trying to get that like to become a thing, and like David Wright was like one of the only guys that wanted to adopt that. And then you have Alex Torres who wore that funky
Oh
little
my
hat.
god, that ridiculous hat! Yeah, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
Stevie Mack says I'll flat out admit it. I don't like most Mets fans. They're insufferable. Apologies about the technical difficulties. Hopefully this doesn't happen again. But if it does, I'm still trying to navigate this new mic that I got. So um he said, Jung Hoo Lee says, Nelson, thanks for doing the videos. Mets are not playing well. We just want to give you guys something to at least like look forward to and talk about still. So um I was on mute. Apologies, Tom and M Easy. And then Stevie says, this is why we can't have nice things, guys. This is the Mets curse that's now affecting me on the live stream. All right. This is the Mets curse that's transferring over. So let's get on to the last topic here. We're going to talk about Buck Showalter and his tenure moving forward with the New York Mets. Or is he going to be let go? That's the question that everyone's wondering. Um, I have a nice little graphic up here, and Epler and Showalter are right in front of the man that's going to be in charge of making those decisions. So, um, yeah, I mean, I've seen the split variances. I think you put up a poll on X in terms of people, the Mets fan base wanting versus not wanting, or I forgot what wording you used
Well,
there. I'll let you
well,
explain it, but
I did two different ones. I did one that said, "Will Buck Showalter be the manager next year?" So that was more or less just, do you think he's going to be the manager next year? It was a 50-50 split
Mhm.
on whether or not people thought he would be the manager. Then I did another one that said, "Do you want him to be the manager?" I was shocked that 40% of Mets fans said they actually want him to manage the team next year. Granted, I only had a couple hundred votes, but that still was a kind of shocking number to me. Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but I don't see anything in of this year from Buck Showalter that makes me want him to come back next year. But maybe I guess there's more fans out there that want him back than I thought.
I've been seeing a lot of pro Buck Showalter rhetoric on X as well recently from the Mets fan base in terms of being pro Buck Showalter. It's kind of shocked me too, but I think you can play devil's advocate and say, hey, why are we blaming Buck Showalter first and foremost, and why is he losing his job when the 2022 Mets were just fine? And then I guess a lot of people want to blame it on the hitting coach, Jeremy Barnes, as opposed to Eric Chavez being the hitting coach last year. I get that. I get that stance. I just can't see organizationally how management would let, especially like, the players probably would have said something too. If Jeremy Barnes really like went in and changed all these guys' approaches from one year to the next, you would have thought that would have been stopped immediately, right? When things were going awry. So I can't necessarily blame it on that because I just don't see how that's logical. If you're claiming to be a competent organization, that just doesn't happen. So I don't buy that. Um, so I think that, like you said, we need a younger mind in here as well. I think the Mets as an organization just need to get younger on the field and off the field. The game of baseball is changing in a lot of ways. Do I think Buck Showalter was making all the decisions this year? No, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think that obviously the Mets are trying to become more analytically driven, and I think that Buck Showalter had to take a little bit of a back seat in terms of making some of the nitty-gritty decisions that we see on an everyday basis. And that's probably tough for him because who's the first guy that we're going to blame? We're not going to blame the analytics department because that's just not the popular choice. We're going to blame Buck Showalter. So that's a little bit unfair to him. I completely get that. But um, I don't know. It's a whole topic of discussion with David Stearns or whoever the Pobo is coming in. Probably going to want his own guy as well, and he's probably going to have a lot of that decision as well alongside Steve Cohen. So we'll see how it plays out. But if I had to cast my vote, I would say that I don't expect him to be here and that I also don't want him to be here next year. And I know that it's kind of split, like your polls suggested. I've been seeing a lot both ways. So Jung Hoo Lee says if Buck wants to stay manager, he needs to learn Japanese. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Stevie also voted that he wanted him gone. And then Tom says, I don't think Buck is right for the young talent in the farm and where we want to go. So I don't want him there. However, I don't see Steve firing him. He will see out the deal, I'm sure of it. Um, yeah, I think Buck's on a 4-year deal, so this would be year 2 of it. If if the Mets stink next year, I can't
Apparently,
see
it's
how
actually
he's
a
here for year
3 year
4.
deal. I don't know.
Oh, is it 3 years?
I've heard conflicting reports, but the more recent I've seen, it says it's a 3 year deal. So last year would be, or next year would be his last.
Oh, okay. Then that changes the ball game a little bit. So yeah, Tom is confirming that is a 3-year deal. I could have sworn because usually the coaching, the managing gigs come in 4-year bunches, and most sports, to be honest with you. But yeah, if this is a 3-year deal, then yeah, that makes sense why he would be back for his final year next year as a kind of bridge sort of manager. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I can see happening if Buck Showalter does, stay with the team. I can see Eric Chavez remaining the bench coach and getting the managerial role after Buck Showalter's gone. I can see that. I can 100% see that. But like we said, like we can sit here and say this all day and we can talk about what these plans are. Who knows? David Stearns, whoever the Pobo is, might come in and have different plans. You just don't know. We just don't know. And that is one thing that's unique about the Mets situation is that they don't have a president of baseball operations. We don't know how much power Steve Cohen himself is going to give whoever's coming in to make that managerial decision. We would hope and we would guess it'd probably be full reign, right? So that's another thing to kind of think of, because this is not a team deciding on the next manager without a president of baseball operations, or with a president of baseball operations. They have no voice right there right now. Epler's not making that decision, and I don't think Cohen has enough experience to make that decision for himself as well, just in terms of his owning, career so far, I should say, so to speak. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I would be fine either way, to be honest with you. If Buck Showalter rides out the deal and is the manager next year, is it going to be the end of the world? No, I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. So,
But I
let's
do
see.
agree with
Aaron,
Tom though. I don't I don't think he's right for the young talent, and the fact that we have so much young talent coming up, that scares me a little bit going into next year. Like I'd almost rather move on just for that fact. But I do see a world where he stays on, whether or not Steve wants to keep him, or I don't know. Like you said, it's going to come down to what the president decides. Like I really think if David Stearns hopefully comes in and says no, I want Buck gone, then I think Steve's going to let that happen. But if he's open to having Buck and wants to evaluate him himself for a year or something, or wants to see Chavez, if he thinks Chavez is the next guy and wants to see him another year under Buck before they make that transition, then yeah, then I guess you do keep Buck. But I don't know. It's all going to come down to what David Stearns wants. Same thing with free agency, like and trades. Like yeah, we can say all we want, but until we know who's in charge and what their thinking is, everything can change between now and 2024.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's a great comment. Tom and you agreeing, and I think Stevie said that he agrees with Tom as well here about the young talent coming up. If that young talent is going to be managed, and he's going to be talking about, just like in the press conferences about this young talent coming up, like he did about Alvarez, Beatty, Vientos, etc. this year, then I don't want to see him, because that quite frankly pissed me off this year. So it's just not something where you're talking about, I'm not looking forward to these kids coming up because they're not here yet, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, we need a guy who's going to have a voice and who's going to be like, these guys are killing it in the minor leagues. And it's just a voice, man. And it really is something to speak to. Like, fans really do get their sort of fondness of these managers from these press conferences. And I don't know about you, Nelson, but I listen to a lot of them. And just the way that he's handled the media this year when things have gotten a little bit tough didn't sit right with me. But I get it. It's a tough nose market, New York. I completely get it. But I don't know.
Yeah, he can be condescending at times. He has that know-it-all attitude in him, but the media also kind of loves him because he likes to joke around with them. I get what MEZ's saying here in that comment. It's just to me there's more to be. I don't know. That's more important things than being able to handle the media, and I don't care to keep Buck just so he can have some buddies with the beat have with the beat reporters, be buddies with beat reporters. Like I don't know, man. Like to me, I'm done with him. I'd rather him go. But like you said, if he doesn't, I'll live with it.
Hmm.
I'd just rather not see it.
I agree. That's how I see it too. That's exactly how I see it. I think we're on the same page there. Aaron says, not sure if you guys saw, but Kodai is doing some heavy recruiting for Yamamoto. I did see that. To be expected as well, right? I mean, I don't know how much they talk to Otani as well. I don't know what relationship he has with Otani, but maybe he can put another another couple good words and get Otani over here as well. But no, I completely agree about this front. It's going to be interesting to see how this, not only with the roster, we have the pleasure of Mets fans of being Mets fans and seeing how two different areas of the organization play out this offseason, because the way the management and the front office shakes out versus how the roster actually shakes out. The Mets have a lot to worry about this offseason in terms of filling out positions beyond the actual team. So that's something that we have to monitor. And then I know everyone expects Billy Epler to be around next season because of his relationship, or whatever relationship he has, with David Stearns. But I mean, it's not 100%, right? I mean, it's not 100% that that's going to save his job. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on that front. But
That's not saving his job. It's the fact that he's Mr. Japan. That's what's saving his job.
I mean, just make a special advisor position for Billy Epler, man. I mean, if he really excels in that, just make a Japanese recruitment, a Japanese league recruitment position, and just send him off over there, and he'll provide his talents that way. But some good things as GM. I'm going to give Billy Epler credit. Regardless if he was the mastermind behind this deadline in terms of the pieces that we got back for the vets, then that so be it. But he did have something to do with that, and I will give credit where credit is due. So, to be honest with you, that's all I had for today. I think that's all we have for today. We're closing up on 45 minutes here. And to be honest with you, we weren't sure what we were going to talk about, so we just kind of threw something together. So we always keep it real with you guys. We understand this is a frustrating season. We still want to provide content for you guys. So, every week we'll be back. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for rocking with us. I appreciate everyone tuning in, all the regulars. Tom popped out today. Aaron popped out. M-Easy, Stevie Mac, Jungwoo Lee. Who else am I missing here that's in the chat? I think that's pretty. Pantries dropped a comment as well. I appreciate everyone dropping their comments. Like I said, this is more so a show now where we want to get off our topics and tell you guys what we think, but we also want to hear what you guys think as well. So, and completely 100%, Tom, win or lose, LFGM, 100%. It's never going to stop being Let's Go Mets or LFGM. Like Mr. Pete Alonso says. So it's always going to be that, ride or die. We are ride or die fans with this team, regardless of how bad or good they are. And that's just how it's going to be. If you're a fair weather fan, take that somewhere else. But everyone has different opinions. We're here to welcome all opinions and discuss them. Just like, we do on the round table. Everyone has their different opinions. We all do that. So we surround ourselves with people who believe in that as well. So one last time, do some plugging. First and foremost, follow us on X at Interstate Mets. That's our joint account. Keep up with us there. Subscribe to Nelson's YouTube at Amish Country Mets Fan. He's on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram as well, and follow him on the X app. A little bit of a different at. It's Amish Country Met, whereas I am at CPNY Sports all around. My YouTube channel, my X account, and Instagram is also at CPNY Sports. I'm not just doing Mets content now. I've been doing a couple of Giants pods with Aaron, who you saw in the comments here. Nelson, we're going to try to get you to do some football content, so maybe we can get Nelson in on that. I think a little Giants show would be nice for that too. So as always, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, drop a comment, subscribe to the channels. I appreciate it. Got a game today against the Cardinals as well. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out. It's slowly but surely getting close to that last series in October. So we'll see how everything plays out from here on out. But other than that, that's all we have for you guys today. And let's go Mets. See you all the next time.
Let's go Mets.
Thank you for watching the Interstate Mets Report. Streaming Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to at Amish Country Mets Fan and at CPN.